how do they engage and go there into our? We can't be able to actually challenge things which are actually implemented in this kind of.
Thank you. So just in conclusion, Project 90 by 2030 does not accept the MYPD process as it stands.
Presentation. I just want to check if my colleagues have any question to clarify. No? Okay,
thank you. May you just Mr. Ndabula, any interactions? I know you want which is also involved in municipalities.
People from like those kind of municipalities, they don't want to go to communities like Haile. Proper information into our own communities. Box and stuff, it will take ages for them to come and even fix it. So I don't know why their service is not like right where they are getting a lot of like where the majority is. That is where they should be like investing most of like their money in, because that is where they are earning a lot from those kind of communities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndabula and your colleague for presentation. From me, it's just a comment. I think I like what you said when you say the youth is supposed to be presented here. And I hope they hear you, because this is what they are, the future. So it's their future that is being decided here in their absence. So I hope they will hit the call and make sure that they become part of the regulation making processes and shaping the future that they want to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and would like to thank Project 90 by 2030 and the community of Kailicha for presenting this afternoon. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to the next presenter, which is Busa. I've got the name of Roger Solomons. Do we have Roger Solomons? It's not Busa as in Business Unit of South Africa, not that one. This one is a BOSA. Oh, Bosa. They know themselves. So do we have Walter? Do we have Roger Solomons? If not, we're moving on to the next presentation. The group presentation by Nolthando Mazwi, Nomalady, Xujwa, Joyce Malebu, and Johnny Malebu. Okay. If you're ready, may you please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you are going to give to the panel is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Please state your name and the community that you are presenting, or the stakeholder that your constituency that you are representing.
Okay, my name is Nomalidi Xujwa. I'm from Guguletu Health Forum. I'm Mute Coalition Civil Society. I'm also from Umphakathi organization. I'm also under a Project 90 by 2030.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, may
organization, Women's Circle organization, Unmute Coalition Civil Society Health Forum member under Project 90 by 2030. I'm also from Gugulethu. I am here to share how two proposal of electricity tariffs will increase and affect myself and the households, especially on how tight things are already. With e-units, as also other speakers also specify that we are getting low of e-tariffs. Electricity is not a luxury to us, it's a need. But it looks like we're being deprived the privilege to afford buying electricity. We struggle to maintain the cost already. Electricity cannot even last a week with the low units. Imagine when we don't have e-lights, the crime that we live under in Gugulethu and all the other surrounding areas will also escalate. People will be raped inside their households. We have witnessed that when it was load shedding, where people were to organize ourselves by having impembe or whistleblowers and also creating a WhatsApp group for safety, because we've noticed that when there's load shedding at night, people will be having burglaries because of the darkness. And also the burden of shacks that are burning every day. The household also, the buying of candles, that is a cause of people having burned and the shacks burning. The paraffin, as it was already emphasized by the previous speakers. We cannot even save also with gas because we have children. We don't want to even mention the stigma it brings to people that cannot afford electricity. And it will drive our children to a peer pressure and and driving them to the hands of crime. Because when they see that their families cannot afford to buy electricity and other needs, obviously they will go out and seek other aspects to get assistance. Remember, some household, as it was explained, that there are elderly people that are taking care of those households. So obviously, why must we choose now between buying bread and buying electricity? We have voted many times, but it seems like the people that we are putting in power, they don't only voice out for us, the voiceless, but instead they become the part of the problem. We are suffering because of corruption. Imagine the people that cannot afford electricity. Now I'm stating the negative impact that it will have on the people that are sick, diabetic, because their medication has to stay in a certain temperature in the fridge. And also, again, the negative impact that it will do also on the people that are using their asthma machines to have oxygen. Obviously, some of them, they are using electricity. The list is endless. NESA, we ask you to negotiate with USCOM to consider their decision by putting people's needs first. Our lives matters. Hashtag unemployment is an issue. Hashtag electricity is not a luxury. We want to be part of the decision makers, as we are the ones that are suffering in the local level. Engage with us as stakeholders and do a proper research. As the previous speaker mentioned, that come down to us, make us understand why do you need the increase of electricity. Make us understand so that people will stop doing izinyoka, so that people can stop ukutokola umbane. Because now what is happening now, it's driving more and more in people doing things that they are not supposed to be doing. That is crime. We are losing hope every day. We want accountability. Load shedding was an issue. I want to emphasize on that as well, because when it was load shedding, that is where now we have realized that some of us, we cannot function without electricity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Can we get the next presenter, please?
Let me greet each and everyone this afternoon. As I've said, I'm Nombulelo Sikio from Women's Circle and Project 90 2030. I'm from the community of Kukuletu. I'm a pensioner myself. I'm only earning 2,190, looking after a family of 4 except myself. Nobody is working. It's not that they don't want to work, but because of the socio-economic, there is no work. With whatever I'm getting from my government pension, I have to see they must put bread on the table. Not only bread on the table, but there must be light in the house. And they're adults. I must look after 4 adults with that pension. So electricity is not a luxury. I'm also saying, emphasizing on that. Even there is a lot of stress. That stress that leads to mental health. If we don't get, or we cannot get electricity and use candles and paraffin, that leads to death. Death that makes stress. I just have, just a street away from my home just last week, a house was burnt down in MYPD because of gas. They cannot use electricity every time. That is why they are using gas. Health is a right, but if you cannot exercise that right of health, those who has medicine that has to be in the refrigerator. When you cannot buy electricity, your medicine won't be in the refrigerator. The medicine is spoiled, you cannot use it. Then it's as if you don't have the medication itself. That is why I'm saying health is a right, but at times you cannot assess that right. And also your dignity, because our country emphasizes as a dignity of each and every one. But that dignity, if I have to go around and seek for a 10 rand to buy electric, there's no dignity anymore. So I want to plea with NASA. I urge them, when making decisions, to take into consideration the vulnerable poor communities. As my own community of Kukuletu, it is the poor of the poorest. We are suffering already. We are paying prepaid electricity. We don't owe municipality anything because we buy the electricity before we use it. Why must we now suffer because of people who don't pay? Will you please look after our communities, not only Kukuletu, but the surrounding communities as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sis Nombolelo. Mr. Malibu.
Thank you, Chairperson. As a pensioner from Kukuletu, I think that the Chairperson owes all the men in Kukuletu an apology. Economic hardship, increased traffics can lead to economic hardship, forcing families to cut back on essential services or even fall into debt. Becoming the instrument used by the government to balance the corrupt activities of its institutions. The failure to deal with corruption in ESCOM administration cannot be carried by the poorest of the poor. The tide is rising against the high tariff increases every year. The undemocratic NESA interventions are fueling the tensions by far. High cost of electricity will result in new reasons blackness in South Africa. The blackouts will come around in another form. The economic devastation will create a revolt against the government institutions. The top-down manipulation of tariff increases will result in a revolt against the government institutions. People will resort to revolutionary methods to counteract against the tariffs manipulations. ESCOM is busy feeding a monster that will eat us up in the near future. The alternative is to build negotiating structures that will democratically negotiate and settle with the community leaders on how to increase the tariffs amongst every year, how to share the responsibility. And in that process, I think both parties will learn about one another. ESCOM will start knowing through NESA what is going on in the township, how are they affected by their actions. In order to stop the NESA undemocratic status quo of now engagement with of non-engagement with communities, we propose a bottom-up democratic system of engagement that will facilitate a negotiated tariff system in a mandated fashion. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. People of Cooks have been represented here. Thank you for that, for standing up and represent men, but I did not hear you talking about the bills at all. You talking about other things. But we heard you. All right, I'm looking around from my colleague's side. It doesn't look like, okay, let me give Mr. Mkhize the opportunity, but before I do that, I'm going to make sure that NERSA does visit the communities in Gugulethu as well as Khayelitsha, because you were here and want to show to you that we listen. We are the regulator that listens. We are the regulator that would like to understand how the electricity price is affecting consumers of today and their future consumers. And by so saying, I've got two ladies that are sitting at the back there, Amanda Mtembu as well as Vuyelwa Posa. They are the ones that are going to make sure that NERSA will reach out to the communities that are here today and try to hear more how NERSA can make sure that communities become the integral part of our stakeholders, and also will shape and inform our decision making whenever we are confronted with applications of this nature. They are there at the back, and you will communicate with them right next to the door there. Mr. Mkhize, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to all the presenters. I'm partly covered by your side, but despite the effectiveness and efficiency of the ladies who mentioned, I think there's still a need for engagement municipal level. And for those that are coming from municipalities, please indicate to us as to whether when last you engage your communities regarding this. Because really for us to talk like this, I think it's a bit of a problem. And the chairperson of NELS has already asked a question related to the very same matter of engagement, because there are platforms and things must be raised at the right platforms. Yes, we are going to flag this from our side, but let us be very clear with these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkize. Okay. Sisi, do you wanted to say something?
I just want to say there is no engagement, none at all, when it comes to our municipalities. You just see they took water from the electricity, they did not engage with us. They put everything together, you just see it when you go and buy electricity. No engagement at all. Thank you.
All right, I think that there are also some representatives from the municipalities, and in fact the next presenter is from the city of Cape Town. I'm sure they've had some of the concerns. All right, thank you very much for your time, sis. Much appreciated. The next presenter is the city of Cape Town. I've got the name of Alderman Limburg. City of Cape Town. All right. Do you have any objection in taking the oath?
No.
All right. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to give to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
All right. State your name and your designation at the city of Cape Town.
Good afternoon. My name is Xanthi Limburg. I'm a councillor and the mayoral committee member for energy at the city of Cape Town.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairperson of the session, esteemed panel members, stakeholders and fellow members of the public. Allow me to begin by thanking the National Energy Regulator of South Africa for affording us the opportunity to exercise our constitutional right to voice our firm and unequivocal opposition to Eskom's 6th multi-year price determination application on behalf of the City of Cape Town. Moreover, in my capacity as the mayoral committee member for energy, I'm also leading a delegation from the City of Cape Town, which includes a number of different representatives. But I do want to just acknowledge our Electricity Generation and Distribution Director, Mr. Edgar Capes, who is also here if there are any questions that you would like us to respond to. In our written submission to NERSA on Eskom's MYPD6 application, the City of Cape Town joined South Africans, including civil society, in objecting Eskom's application in the strongest possible terms. It is our view that the National Power Utilities application, which includes outrageous tariff increase proposals of 36% to its direct customers and close on 44% for municipalities in the first year of the MYPD6 application, is unaffordable, unreasonable, and simply unthinkable. We maintain our expressed opinion backed by independent experts and analysts that if NERSA were to grant Eskom such mammoth increases, the implications will be catastrophic to the livelihoods of most Cape Townians and South Africans in general. Small businesses in particular, who are only just recovering from the economic fallout of Eskom's rolling blackouts and sluggish national economic growth in recent years, will also suffer severely. We submit that Eskom's primary energy costs consistently rise disproportionately due to inefficiencies in their IPP programs and coal procurement. As provided in our written submission, the city maintains that benchmarking these contracts against international efficiency standards would enable NERSA to determine if Eskom's energy costs are competitive and to deny funding for anything but the actual cost of providing the electricity service in accordance with Section 15.1 of the Electricity Regulation Act. In addition to its IPP and coal procurement inefficiencies, Other drivers of the Eskom increases indicated in their revenue application relate to the reduction in sales volumes, which in part could ironically be attributed to sustained high levels of load shedding in recent years. Consequently, the fact that the price of Eskom's electricity remain outrageously high and continue to rise, families face the painful indignity of having to choose either putting food on the table or keeping the lights on. Speaking about reduction in sales, which Eskom point to as one of their drivers in tariff increases, in the last few months of load shedding reprieve, the city as a bulk purchaser of Eskom power has actually seen around a 6.7% increase in energy sales, and we expect this trend to continue as the system stabilizes. It is, however, confusing that Eskom is not projecting a similar trend, and we request that Eskom substantiate how they are projecting the extent of their continuing decline in sales. Chairperson, fellow members of the public, the city is already bearing the brunt of Eskom's rising tariffs. Some 75% of the city's income received from electricity sales goes directly to Eskom. Therefore, any big Eskom increase has a profound impact on the city. In addition, the city has seen sporadic protests for over Eskom ballooning electricity prices, which to a large degree are driven by items that have nothing to do with the cost of the service, and therefore the public should not be paying for this. For example, travel and subsistence, which appear to be excessive. Interrogating is what are Eskom's losses, both technical and non-technical. Efficiency of Eskom instead of asking Eskom how much energy is Eskom producing per ton past financial years to current, and what are Eskom must also provide a comprehensive breakdown, and that they claim reflects a more realistic operating costs. The scant details around these and other claimed costs are sufficient grounds to actually for NERSA to actually reject Eskom's application. And as an organ of state, Eskom's responsibility is to provide an efficient and reliable electricity utility service that places the interests of the public above all, especially profit. Given the economic hardship South Africans face, Eskom should not be using its steadily waning monopoly status as a means of maximizing commercial gain. The citizens of this country, including all Cape Townians, deserve a power utility that works for them. So then we call on NERSA to do the right thing. Reject Eskom's MYPD6 application, if not for its outrageousness, then for the following reasons. Firstly, the cost of electricity is unsustainably high, and above inflation increases further shoot up the cost of living, driving more people. The proposed tariff places an excessive financial burden on businesses. Businesses are already energy shortfall solutions, as Eskom has failed to offer reliable power over the last couple of years. Ironically, it is now the same Eskom that is threatening a lethal blow to businesses, and ultimately job losses of tens of thousands of Cape Townians are now on the cards. Thirdly, the proposed increases may lead residents and businesses to reduce electricity consumption to control costs, thereby decreasing electricity demand. This reduction could result in significant losses for the city, which in turn could affect our capacity and the capacity of all other municipal electricity distributors to fund essential public services, affecting the overall well-being of our communities. This will also surely decrease Eskom sales volumes, increase municipal debt to Eskom, and negatively impact Eskom's revenue projections, which will make the overall objective of operating a viable utility unattainable. Lastly, Eskom's MYPD6 application lacks substantive detail of the data and the assumptions used to determine proposed increases. The ERA requires tariff applications be approved against the cost of providing the service, and Eskom has an obligation to do so in accordance with the law and to share this with the public. As I conclude, we urge NERSA to conduct a rigorous, independent review of Eskom's application and consider alternative solutions such as internal cost-saving measures and revenue diversification as proposed in our written submission. Eskom must get its house in order by ensuring that it enters into contracts that will not compromise its finances or compromise the future of this country by passing on the cost of its inefficiency to South Africans. We therefore wholeheartedly reject Eskom's MYPD6 application. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Ms. Limberg. I would like to check if my colleagues have any questions of clarity. Ms. Simane? Advocate Sitole? Okay. Mr. Mkis?
Thanks, Madam Limberg. Thanks, Chairperson. My question on the consultation still stands. I was hoping that you are going to kind of respond to it, what you're presenting. If you may just please kindly assist with that. And also, if you may assist, not necessarily respond here and now, with specific information on the OSCOM application that you deem to be lacking and what needs to be included there, just to assist the process going forward. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for the
very much,
questions.
Mr. Bogula.
Thank you. You said your projections for your consumption have increased by 6.7%. Can you just give an indication on which sectors have you seen that increase of 6.7%, if you have the information? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bogula. May you please respond to the two questions?
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session, and thank you for the questions. With regards to the first question, I was actually called out of the room by a NERSA official. So if you can just give me some further context around the point around consultation, because I didn't hear that discussion. And then in terms of what is Eskom's tariff application lacking, we've indicated that it does lack adequate data to allow us at least to understand what informs those tariff increases. Municipalities, as part of its tariff applications to NERSA, are required to provide comprehensive cost of supply studies. I think it's only fair to ensure that for us to make meaningful input and to understand what are the real drivers in terms of Eskom's costs, for us to be able to have access to that information, so we are able to make informed inputs. And so that is what we have highlighted in our written submissions. We do see that information lacking. Then with regards to our sales volumes, perhaps I will ask my director just to provide some of that detail.
Just hold on. I have to. Do you have any objections in taking the oath?
No doubt.
All right. May you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to provide to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Okay. Please state your name and your designation at the City of Cape Town for the record.
My name is Edgar Capes. I'm the Director for Electricity and Generation at the City of Cape Town.
All right. You may provide the response then.
To answer the question from the panel, we have seen an increase. The 6.7% that we've stated is the bulk supply increase in terms of the city's bulk account to Eskom. We don't have a breakdown per segment of the increase in consumer growth, but we can
Thank you very much for just providing context. So the city is required by law as part of its review of the IDP and the tabling of our draft budget to have public consultation. That happens across the city in multiple forms, both in the form of public meetings in different parts of the city, as well as residents are allowed to make submissions as part of that general consultation via social media or written submissions. But we host public meetings in all parts of the city as part of that consultation. It must also just be noted, Chairperson of the session, that as it relates to tariff increases, a third of the city is supplied directly by Eskom and 2/3 by the City of Cape Town. And so there is a differentiation in terms of tariff applications or tariff increase implications. And so the city, as part of its budget process, does consult residents that it supplies around proposed tariff increases, and we assess the submissions that we make as part of that public participation process and attempt to obviously include that as best as possible. We also work closely with Eskom locally in trying to support their efforts from a communications perspective, and obviously we continue to commit to doing so because they are also obviously required to carry out public participation in relation to their tariff increases as well. Thank you.
No, thanks. Whilst I appreciate the response, I'm looking forward to even other municipalities or formations, if they can just succinctly respond to the question of consultation with their constituencies, that would greatly assist. Because even now, I think the response, I'm not here to judge responses, but I'm here to listen to responses. But I'm not getting a firm, clear-cut answer regarding this matter. But I'll leave it at that maybe in your written submission you also provide clarity in terms of your consultation processes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, and thank you, Ms. Limber. We also take note of the fact that the City of Cape Town is not the only licensee that distributes in the city, that Eskom also distributes. But also, I think the question by my colleague is very important. If you can respond to that, because some of the communities may well be in the area of supply of the city. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we now move on to Swartland Municipality. All right, may you please raise your right hand, sir? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to give to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Please state your name and your designation at Swartland Municipality.
Chair, my name is Thijs Moller. I'm the Director of Electrical Engineering Services at Swartland Municipality.
All right.
It's of Swartland Municipality, and there's a couple of items. We've seen the Eskom MYPD6 application for Eskom direct customers and then for the municipalities, which would be implemented according to the various pieces of legislation, with the 36% having a severe impact in terms of municipal electricity prices, 43.55%, and obviously that would translate into the future years based the implementation based on the various timeframes. If we look at the MYPD application and the various elements of the drivers that Eskom indicates, it is clear that a number of the individual items that makes up to 36% is larger than CPI. So that in itself raises the question in terms of sustainability and affordability to the average citizen and electricity user in the country. If you look at the average tariff increases over the last number of years, 2 slides since 1987 and up to 2019 and then up to 2024, if you look at the Eskom tariff increase versus inflation, it is clearly, and it should be no debate, that that is no longer sustainable and it is not affordable and it cannot be allowed to continue. I'm not going to talk about the death spiral. I think that's well known to everybody, and I think that this is where the utility, Eskom, and maybe some of the municipalities are also at. If you look at electricity and the price elasticity, the application suggests that electricity sales is inelastic to the price. And in the normal economic law of supply and demand, yes, that would be so, and it's typically so when there's a monopoly at play in terms of the monopoly, in terms of the product. We've seen sales decline since 2015 to 2023 by plus minus 13%. So the question needs to be asked, is none of that related to the price of electricity? The next question is, none of the NPAs that are being negotiated by Eskom due to the price of electricity, which would then have an impact on the elasticity. Admittedly, we've seen no load shedding for the past 7 months, and I think we, the audience, everybody needs to thank Eskom for that. Keep it up. But with load shedding, obviously there was reduction in sales, and that sales will never be recovered when the power comes back, especially when you have high load factor customers and residential customers. And what then adds to the cost of electricity to the average consumer is the fixed cost. Fixed cost could be capacity, demand, admin, and service charges. So essentially, the cent per kilowatt hour to the average customer just increases when there's no electricity available. It is our proposal that elasticity should be researched at individual customer level to determine what the real impact is. If you have an increase around inflation, yes, maybe elasticity is, or the price is inelastic, but when you get tariff applications 5 to 6 times the inflation, I'm convinced that that picture would look different if you go and do the analysis and the research. And then we have seen the rapid increase in the rooftop solar, which is, I believe, mainly driven by load shedding. People were just fed up of no power, so they installed solar panels, batteries. But now there's also the question about the price of electricity. With higher energy prices, you can expect that more solar panels, rooftop solar, will be installed. This will place a bigger challenge on Eskom and municipalities to recover revenue, and that in itself will create another spiral. But then again, the Eskom tariff restructuring proposal, which the CFO this morning also referred to, where they want to increase the actual fixed charges, lower the energy charges, that will counter this proposal, or this reduction and the installation of solar panels, and effectively will be back to a monopolistic elasticity of the electricity price. When it comes to the Eskom municipal debt, I think just to highlight again that this has escalated since October 2019 to November 2024, up to 90 million, 340% increase in 5 years' time. According to the CFO earlier this month and again this morning, this is growing at a rate of 1 to 1.5 billion per month. And various reasons are offered for this growth. Poor financial management by municipalities, including the non-collection of revenue, non-adherence to Eskom payment arrangements. Eskom credit control measures are not effective and are being challenged in court. And then I offer ineffective oversight, provincial and national government. The section 139 of the Constitution implementation is ineffective. It doesn't provide the required results. And then also NERSA's lack of effective license conditions monitoring. A tribunal was established, agreed to in 2018-2019, if I'm not mistaken, to look at this non-payment issue and the adherence to the license conditions of municipalities. The question is, are it being used or is it used effectively? And then there's a question around the effectiveness of the National Treasury Eskom debt relief program, which these defaulting municipalities had to apply to participate in. The reality, Chair, is that this debt, this money is not sitting in a bank account somewhere. It's just not available. So it's not going to be paid. And therefore, I think the focus should be on the current debt and not necessarily what is happened 5, 6, 10 years ago. Increasing the tariffs to municipalities will only lead to an increase in this number due to the unaffordability, because municipalities would suffer to collect their revenue because customers will just not be able to pay due to it being unaffordable. Eskom price increases by 937% over the past 17 years. Municipal electricity prices have basically followed the Eskom price increases. Because if you think about it, the electricity price or the bulk purchase price, electricity from Eskom constitutes about 80 to 90% of the total electricity cost of a municipal entity. And therefore it places a high and ever-increasing burden and a risk on the municipalities. If you are lucky, an average salary increase of 7% per annum, if you look at pensions, probably not that high. So compare that to a 35 or 43% tariff increase. How can that be affordable? Now people need to prioritize, and we can predict that fewer customers will be able to pay for electricity. More customers will default, more illegal connections, more tampering, leading to higher non-technical losses. And I'm not only referring to municipalities, but also to Eskom. And that's probably one item which in the application is not too clear, is how Eskom is dealing with their non-technical losses. And what the impact of residential customers is if you're isolated out of the total Eskom revenue, and particularly what is happening to the Soweto debt apart from just writing off Soweto debt. So we argue that there's a high risk that municipalities defaulting on the Eskom account would increase. Once again, just increasing that spiral. With regards to the negotiated pricing agreements, yes, we agree it was implemented for specific customers due to specific needs, the market, world economic situation, and electricity prices. It was implemented to save the customer and the Eskom sales, to retain jobs, have a positive economic impact. The question is asked, should the average customer, however, be burdened with that impact? Shouldn't there be different mechanisms to cover the difference between the MPA and the standard tariffs? Maybe DTI, SARS, Department of Energy and Electricity needs to look at it to take that burden away from the general customer. And then the impact of state capture. I think there's no doubt that Eskom has suffered financially and technically due to state capture. The impact in the price application is, however, not too clear and raises questions about the inflated asset value, increased depreciation, the impact of that on return on assets, higher maintenance costs, and Chair, just a small example, the price that we pay or that Eskom needs to pay to transport coal from Medupi on the take or pay contract to other power stations is added cost in terms of transportation. Are we as a general customer base expected to pay for that? And then the question is asked, wasn't there a drive to declare coal as a strategic resource to ensure sufficient, reliable, quality and affordable coal supplies to Eskom? And has this now also fallen in the state capture web? Concluding remarks, Chair, I think there's a huge challenge. And the challenge is one of cost reflectivity, prudency, and of course affordability. The reality, Chair, is that 36.15 or 43.55% is just not affordable. The average customer in the street cannot afford a price increase like that. Granting the requested tariff increase will place a burden on municipalities with respect to the existing challenges, because municipalities would just have to pass that cost through to their customers as well. And then NERSA is called upon to make the right decision to ensure the sustainability of all utilities, Eskom and the municipalities, and the average electricity consumer. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Mola. I would like to check if the colleagues have any questions. I'll start with Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Mr. Muller. You in your first or second slide, you had the return on assets being a different value from the one I'd seen in the application. Could you maybe explain your difference? I think if you go back to your second slide, the other one, that one, the return on assets of 7.9. If you could explain how you calculated that.
Chair, that is just a copy of the source.
After the chairperson has allowed you to respond. Thank you.
Apology.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pukula. If you can kindly take down that question, because I'm going to ask other members of the panel to ask questions of clarity. All right, thank you. Mr. Mkisi.
Chairperson, I'm covered. Is an issue that is standing regarding the consultations, as I've indicated. One would expect that.
Sorry, Chair, I'm battling to hear.
I think that for me, the basic thing is the consultations. That is a standing question to municipalities. And the contribution as such that I raised earlier on with SALCA, the contributions from your side in terms of alleviating the burden on your own consumers as a municipality. If there are any initiatives from your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkisi. Ms. Advocate Sitole.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mola, for your presentation. I just have one question of clarity. In one of your slides, you indicated that the decline in sales, it's not linked to the to electricity, or rather the application from Eskom. Can you clarify that for me? I may have missed the details of it. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Simon? All right. I do have a question on the issue of the elasticity of demand or price sensitivity. When you say that it is inelastic, however, the decline on sales is not caused by the elasticity itself. I just want to understand that statement. What then causes the decline on sales? If then customers are not sensitive enough when there's a huge change in price, they will still be demanding the electricity. Ordinarily, one would, customers will switch away if there were alternatives. And you indicated the market structure issues there, which is the monopoly. But I just want to understand, when you then say that the decline in sales is not caused by the sensitivity of moving away from the price, where the price increase, what then is the cause? I would like to also just go to Mr. Pukula, if you can take down that question so that we can have a better understanding. You do also have load shedding there. So I wanted to see what is the cause of then the decline when in fact the price is going up and you're not seeing and the decline in the volumes of the output or the consumption is not as a result of the price increase. Mr. Pukula.
No, Chair, I wanted to, I think my question, I think I misunderstood your slide. I then understand where you got the 7.9. You don't have to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pukula. You may go ahead, Mr. Mola, with your response.
Thank you, Chair. So the first question I would then scrap, starting maybe with the last question regarding the price elasticity. I'm not saying that the sales volumes is inelastic as a result of the price. That is what Eskom is saying in their application. So we are arguing that yes, it might be so, because if you look at the normal economic laws and you look at the calculations and the delta Qs and delta Ps, etc., it says if the value is less than 1% and it's inelastic, if it's greater than 1 and it's elastic. We are asking the question whether it will hold true if the price is increased by 43% or 36%, that formula would still be valid. And then we also say that with the advent of solar PV and renewable energy, although it's still electricity, it's a different supplier, so one can, in a true economic market, you can see it as a different product or the same product from a different supplier. So customers might move away from Eskom but still use electricity, but that will have an impact on the Eskom sales volumes, and it's basically as a result of the price. That's where the suggestion comes from, that research needs to be done at individual customer levels as to why have they moved to solar, why are they moving away from Eskom, and maybe one should start to ask how many people in the room have got solar panels on their roof and what is the reason for that. Chair, in terms of the question regarding Salga, I'm not 100% sure that I heard the question correct, but the reality is that different municipalities have got different performance levels within the country. My own municipality, we're sitting at a collection rate of more than 95%, and that covers all services within the municipality. Other municipalities might be as low as 30% or 20%, and that's issues that they need to address for themselves. I think if you look at Swartland, again, regarded by Ratings Africa and Good Governance Africa as one of the top performing municipalities in the country. When it comes to the issue of participation or involvement with the community, yes, our process is also stipulated by the Act. In terms of our IDP process, our tariff application and proposals, and we also make use of the ward committees to engage with the members of the community, back to the ward committees back to the municipality, back to the councillors, into the council. So there is definitely communication and consultation taking place within the municipality with regards to the community. And then just I think the declining sales again is, if you look at the 13% over the last 17 years by Eskom, and they claim that it's not as a result of the price. We're just questioning that. So the negotiated pricing agreements, is there no motivation in any of those applications that is based on the price? I can no longer afford your product at the price which you offered, therefore I am not competitive in the market, I cannot compete on an international level, and therefore I need to get a special pricing agreement. And yes, it gets negotiated, discussed based on the frameworks between Eskom, Department Energy, former DMRE, NERSA process, but in the end that difference gets passed on to each and everybody else that uses electricity within the country. Chair, I think I've covered all the questions.
Yes, you did. I just want to check if Mr. Mkhize has a follow-up question.
Thanks. I already know that you're standing there with boldness, but I would like to if you can assist by providing some information that will shed light into what is happening within the municipality itself, in as far as the customer base shifts are concerned, that talk to the supply and could maybe be of some assistance in the analysis of elasticity. If
information in the next 7 days with regards to any observations of price elasticity as a result of increases. I know the exercise that you would like ESCOM to conduct with regards to what will happen if then to the elasticity of demand if the increase now is implemented of 36%, or for instance the 43%. What will happen? Would we still have the same levels of demand and people still be consuming electricity from ESCOM at the same level? So I think it's a factual exercise that needs to be done, and I'm not sure about the time that it will take, because that will require also interviews with customers, check exactly what will happen. But I'm just emphasizing the point that you made on the elasticity. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the next presenter, and this is another group presentation by the members of the public. And the members now that we have is Pumza Boy, Irene Esau, Lydia Peterson, as well as Lucy Davids. Just want to check if it's just the two of you, Mama.
Yes.
Okay, the other two are not here. All right.
Yes.
Okay. May you then come closer to the mic? All right. May you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you are going to give to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
I didn't hear you.
I do.
All right. May you please state your name and your designation at the constituency that you are representing today?
Hi, my name is Lucy Davids. I'm from the community of Delft. I'm also a member of the Project 19 by 2030. I'm also a neighborhood watch and a community worker in Delft area.
All right, thank you very much. May you give the other lady the opportunity. All right, may you please raise your right hand, ma'am? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to provide to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Please state your name and your designation.
My name is Lydia Peters, and I am a community activist from Mitchell's Plain.
All right, you may proceed with your presentation.
Madam Speaker, I'm Lucy Davids, as I said, from the Delft area. I'm a pensioner. However, it's also difficult in our communities. I'm sick and tired of ESCOM tariffs going on now every year. I cannot keep up with the electricity tariffs going up every time. My husband is also a pensioner. He's a cardio patient. He must drink his medication every day. And I've also got a family member. I'm 10 family members in my home. A baby of 1 year old, asthmatic patient. So my plea is to ESCOM and NERSA. How can they never come to our areas. They're only putting up electricity tariffs every time. And our pensioner, the government said, government is giving our pension 2,190 rands. Living with that money, 2,190 rands. My grandchild is 1 year old. He don't have a machine. We are not having like you must go to the government hospital. We don't have that much money. And the most important thing is our poor communities. ESCOM is targeting our communities. They don't consult with our communities. For me, it's only speaking about money. They are only speaking about money. And this thing is going on for too long now. ESCOM is, in other words, if they said, you must do this, you must do that. Imagine, I buy 10 rand electricity. In the Delft area, we're only getting 3 units for 10 rand. Now if you put your stove, your TV, your kettle, it's almost taking 2 units for the kettle. How can you live without 2,190? I'm buying 50 rands electricity for a day, and that is not enough. Those who stealing electricity in the Delft area, you can get, there's everything. Because people are stealing electricity there, where's ESCOM people? There's people going around in the Delft area, you give them, you pay them, I don't know, maybe from ESCOM people, previous people working for ESCOM. Because if you pay them 300 rand, and you get 400 or 600 units, and that unit at least for you for 3 months. They never buy electricity because you pay 300 rand and you get 600 units. It makes me very angry because I'm a pensioner. How can I live? My husband is 70 years old and I'm 67. So how can people live in the South Africa with a 2,190 rands? Delft is number 1 in South Africa for. So this is going on, Madam Speaker, for too long. ESCOM, I don't know what ESCOM plan is, but my question is, what is ESCOM going to do? And what is ESCOM plan now? And I thank you.
Thank you.
Ago, you were at, I think it was the Sun Hotel when the nurse hearings were there, and you asked me, how do I feel presenting? And I said to you that I feel overly anxious and I'm very nervous. And you encouraged me to come back. And you said that with community voices in hearings like this, it will create a ripple effect as to how communities perceive any increases from ESCOM. And I thank you for that. So my presentation today, I had a bit of a difficulty to choose what I wanted to say. And I had actually compiled 3, and I settled on this one. And it is called The Culture of Unfairness. And I need everybody to bear with me, especially the panel, as we all know that the MYPD6 is ESCOM's proposal to increase electricity tariffs over the next several years. The fundamental reason it claims is that these increases are necessary to maintain operations and meet financial obligations. However, there are serious concerns, which I and many others have, about the fairness and the sustainability of these increases. My presentation will touch on 4 core concerns. And my number 1 concern is the municipal debt. Many municipalities owe significant amounts to Eskom, contributing to Eskom's financial strain. In a recent statement, the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Mr. Ramakopa, emphasized that the municipal debt stands at 78 billion rand, and I just heard today that it is much more than that. He further laments that more stringent measures and action needs to be taken to recover the astronomical amount from delinquent municipalities. The unfair burden on our consumers, I can say this. Many consumers have the difficult task of weighing the need for basic necessities and paying for electricity at current grossly inflated costs. What compounds this issue even further is the more than 500,000 prepaid metering consumers who buy electricity upfront and not on a credit system. So does it really seem fair that by paying for their subjected to a form of injustice due to municipal laws and Eskom's tariff increases? To further add insult to injury, Honourable Chairperson and the panel, while consumers diligently adhere to the city laws, the very city recover outstanding municipal debt from every electricity purchase. Is the city perhaps targeting the destitute, the vulnerable of our society? Municipal mismanagement should not be a burden to those that are already faced with a high cost of living. So now that we've dealt with that little matter, let us go to my second concern, which is the regulatory clearing account, called the RCA. So many community members that I've spoken to do not know what that account is or what is the function of it. And to my knowledge, the regulatory clearing account is a mechanism that allows Eskom to recover unexpected costs or shortfalls, leading to additional tariff increases beyond those set by the MYPDs, in this instance, MYPD6. And these adjustments can lead to unpredictable increases, creating more financial stress for households already struggling with high costs of living and rising tariffs. RCA-driven increases will inevitably compound the problem even more, as these hikes are often linked to factors beyond the control of consumers, such as Eskom's own inefficiencies or changing market conditions. Greater transparency and accountability from Eskom is needed as to how RCA applications are justified and approved. Consumers should not bear the costs of Eskom's operational failures without a clear and fair process. The concern that I have further is the mental well-being and the human toll it takes on our vulnerable society. The unpredictability of rising tariffs and the RCA mechanism and the adjustments creates a deep sense of powerlessness. Financial strain is not just an economic issue, but also a mental health crisis, with families feeling trapped in a never-ending cycle of escalating costs they cannot escape from. Please alert me to my time, Madam Chair, if I'm going on too long.
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Oh my word. Okay, let me speed this up a little bit. Okay, so already struggling to afford basic needs such as food, housing, and healthcare, a significant portion of the population is living on the edge of survival. The proposed electricity tariff increases by Eskom will not only impose further financial burdens, but will also have serious repercussions on the mental and emotional well-being of affected communities. When families are forced to ration electricity or face disconnections, it is not merely a matter of inconvenience. It is a matter of dignity. Having to choose between cooking a meal or keeping the lights on undermines a person's sense of control over their own life. Moreover, the relentless sense of insecurity fostered by escalating costs of living and restricted access to essential services can erode social cohesion. Communities already struggling with unemployment, inequality, and lack of opportunities are at higher risks of developing feelings of abandonment and oppression. And these mental health challenges ripple through households, leading to increased family conflict, substance abuse, and children's poor performance at school, and further entrenching the cycles of poverty. Mental well-being could be considered in any decisions related to public services, especially when those decisions offset the most vulnerable in our society. My last comment that I have, and it's a concern, and I beg the panel's indulgence in this matter. It is the concern about Kuberg's LTO and its impact that it have. A little over a year ago, I will do this in 2 minutes, I promise. A little over a year ago, I attended a NNR, which is the National Nuclear Regulator Public Information Session in Athlone. I had a conversation with a gentleman from the NNR talking about the cost for the LTO extension and its viability. He said that it's widely known that the refurbishment cost is at 20 billion rand. And I still argued with him and I said it could be more. And he said that the NNR will not compromise safety over cost, and that is final. And with such a bold statement, I find it very difficult to understand why Eskom did not do socio-economic studies in relation to the LTO extension. Without any studies done, it raises significant issues about accountability and transparency, especially given the magnitude of the cost, around 25 billion rand now, from the cost that was initially said that it was 20 billion. And this amount was quoted by Mr. Keith Featherstone, who is the acting chief nuclear officer for Eskom. And this he did to the Energy and Electricity Portfolio Committee in September. It appears that Eskom has focused solely on the technical aspects of the LTO, potentially overlooking the broader socio-economic impacts on communities and households, particularly those already burdened by rising costs. So my call for action, and it needs to be a balanced approach. A call for fair and balanced approach is to hold Eskom and erring municipalities accountable for their debts and operational inefficiencies. Eskom should not be allowed to rely excessively on the RCA adjustments as a way to recover costs. Any tariff increase should be carefully balanced against the impact on households. A more balanced approach that holds municipalities and Eskom accountable for their debts and operational efficiencies, like I said, must be established. A consideration could be alternatives to tariff increases, such as improving and maintaining a debt recovery system for municipalities. This will add greater value to reduce the need for excessive revenue by way of unaffordable increases. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to the community representatives, Ms. Lydia Peterson and Lucy Davids. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I'm encouraged to see you back here in these hearings, and I'm glad to hear that you took up the offer and followed the encouragement, and you are back here and you are sharing very good insights in terms of what communities are experiencing on the ground. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and I can say that I'm back with a vengeance.
Okay, I can see that. I can see you're much more organized, and your presentation is really well structured, and straight to the point.
Thank you so much, and you remembered my presentation of the last time.
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. We thank you for your time. No, I wanted to check so that I don't deprive my community. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. All right. We then proceed to New Earth Aquaphonics. We've got Zelda Eninza.
security. But I also got an organization called Peace and Healing Circle South Africa, and I'm a registered life coach. And now I work with a community. I'm a retired community development worker. As you know, pensioners only receive 2,190 per month. And the majority of the pensioners has to sustain themselves and the unemployed children with their children. This leads to stress, trauma, mental health, and many a times I'm called out and phoned because someone wants to commit suicide or they cannot cope. To encourage, and I encourage my people not to give up where there is hope. Let us work as a community towards hope. But it's a constant battle every day to put food on their tables. Basic food has even increased. To give you an example, a bread costs 17 rand to 18 rand, some 20 rand. And the majority of our seniors and community people, they got municipality debt. And obviously you heard it throughout the day, when they buy electricity, they get less units. So this proposed increase, which is almost triple the increase that ESCOM proposed, needs to be relooked. It's not affordable for all our South Africans, especially the people in the Western Cape. I propose the suggestion of the 36.50% tariff increase by ESCOM. That's a big no. That's a big no. If the 36.15 will be granted, communities, especially the pensioners, it will put them in more debt and electricity will become unaffordable. The suggestion the SALGA person made to engage with the municipality to work towards affordable electricity, that's a good suggestion. But I also want to say it's not only to engage with the municipality, but with national and provincial. NISA, Zelda and INSA, I don't accept that proposal of 36.50%. I don't accept that. And please, NERSA, put Athlone and Mitchell's Plain on your visiting list. Because the struggle in the Western Cape is through all townships within this Western Cape, even the rural areas. As a human rights activist, even as a member of MK, I don't agree with ESCOM electricity proposed increase. I thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate your time. Shall we please keep it at the minimum, Puti? All right. Thank you very much for your presentation, ma'am. I'm looking at my colleagues here. They don't have any questions. I think the message was loud and clear, and we also take the message from our side that the two ladies that I mentioned earlier at the back there, Amanda, if you also can speak to her, Amanda Mtembu at the back, as well as Via Lwaposo, will definitely keep Athlone as well as Mitchell's Plain in their visit
I also want to add, when you come to Athlone and you look for a venue, ask me. I'm friends with all the interfaith there.
Okay, all right. They will definitely take your numbers and get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. We're now moving on to take another presentation from another community group, members of the public. I've got the name of Tolakele Skosana Ada Abrams, as well as Sianis Abrams. Women are calling the shots today. May you please raise your right hand, Sisi? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to give to this panel today is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Yeah, you can
No, my voice.
Okay, all right. Try to project it closer to the mic.
Okay.
All right. Please state your name. Please state your name and your designation for the constituency that you are representing today.
Okay, my name is Tolagele Skosana. I'm from Kailicha, Makaza. And I'm coming from an organization called WEM, which is Women Assembly Movement. I'm also a member from Project 90.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to invite Baba. Okay, may you please raise your right hand, Dada?
Yeah.
Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you're going to give to this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
Kunjalo.
All right, ndicela Tata sipha amagama wakhe apheleleyo nale nomphakathi awurepresentayo namhlanje.
Oh, igama ngumpumelelo umhlalisi. Ndimele imasifundisane environmental group. It's a community-based organization.
All right, thank you very much. You may start with your presentation then.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. As I said, my name is Tolagele Skosana. I'm from Kailicha, and I'm from an organization that is women-based. It's working class, but I might not say working class anymore because we are unemployed. So it's poor class. And the movement is coming from different areas around Cape Town, which is informal settlement and Cape Flats. And we said no to tariff hikes. What I'm going to say today is nothing new to your ears. And over the years, when we engage with NESA, we've always plead not to increase electricity. Because with what money when you increase? Basic electricity is not enough. We might look presentable, but we are poor. We are unemployed. So I've seen city of Cape Town coming here and vowing, and then when they lie, when they say they come to our communities for consultation, which is a lie. And Salga, I think you are not doing your job because municipal utilities are the one who you are putting us under pressure because you are not taking money that you are owed to you, that ESCOM is owed, which you have to do your job working with ESCOM, not coming to us to increase the electricity. It doesn't make sense to you, but sometimes people, they sleep without electricity. And I'm looking at this venue, it's not representing Cape Town. And I'm looking at the people inside here. I see business people. I'm sure Portfolio Energy, which is not Cape Town. And also ministers, they have free electricity, which they don't have a say. I've been here before 2015 doing a representation when we said no to tariff hikes. I'm still here today doing the same thing. In 2020, I was outside on the Southern Sun Hotel doing a picketing saying no to electricity tariff hikes. Still today, they're still the same and they're worse. I remember attending my first hearing 2015 in one of the venues, and I've always asked NERSA to go to communities, because there are in communities we have disabled people who want to come and represent their stories. We've got grannies who wants to come and represent their stories, but this venue doesn't speak to marginalized communities. With my ending, I will say, I saw a slide from ESCOM. They were saying our electricity in South Africa is cheaper than other, comparing us to Europe. Europe has no high inequality, has no high unemployment. So don't compare 6 and 9. There's a part also where there was a slide, they say directors was removed at ESCOM. Did you do a follow-up on the ESCOM director to pay for the corruption? I thank you.
Thank you. Shall we then get to Mr. Mpumelelo Mhlalisi?
We appreciate given an opportunity to present our views on issues that affect our lives. However, before I came here, I get to know about the hearings because of association with organizations like SAFC, Project 90 by 2030. When I was looking at the local newspaper, like Vugane and Cities Vision, I couldn't see the advert about the hearings. These are kind of newspapers which you don't pay a cent to get, but that are distributed every week to members of the community through the libraries and other facilities at community level. Looking at the number of people that are here and the impact of the tariff increase, because the tariff increase will affect all the people, but the number here are not reflecting the impact of the tariff increase. We view the 36% tariff increase as a punitive measure by ESCOM to the people because of its failures in managing the utility in the right manner. The tariff increase, which is beyond inflation, will further widen the gap between those who have and those who have not. And those who have not will resort to other energy sources which will have a negative impact to their health and well-being. Having said that, looking at our health facilities, they are under stress, especially here in the Cape Town. The health facilities here in the city of Cape Town are not only servicing people who are residing here, because of the poor health facilities at the other side of the country, like your Eastern Cape. Some people are moving straight from the Eastern Cape because of the conditions. They're coming here just to be admitted at the hospital. If you want evidence in this, you can go to Kaitsha District Hospital. They have statistics of people who are coming by taxi straight to the hospital, just registering address of a relative. This is the reality of the situation we are facing it. And I think the proposed tariff increase doesn't seem to be taking into consideration the challenges that are facing the country. which is unemployment, inequality, and poverty. Because an increase of 36% and beyond will further the gap. And most of the time, government institutions and departments, they talk about sustainable development. But the proposed increase are contrary to what the government stands for, sustainable development. It will lead to no development, because when people in Zimbabwe face economic conditions that are not in favor, or that are not in favor of them, they move to South Africa. When South Africans are faced with energy poverty, they'll resort to other means. Our plea to NERSA is to regulate for development. Thank you.
Nkosi tata ndiyabulela kakhulu. Ndiyabulela. I don't think there are questions. I think your messages are very clear. Also to NERSA, and also the fact that we also need to make an effort to reach out to communities. We take note of the fact that even though we try to come closer to town, where we also think that people, do take taxis and all of that, I understand that even that money, you will say that some of them don't even have that money to actually come to town. We thought that we should come to the city center so that we can at least try to be closer to the people, but we will continue to improve in terms of reaching out to communities, and also I think also the timelines as well. It's something that needs to be looked into very carefully, so that NERSA, when it's given the timelines, we can be in a position to deliver on the timelines. Some of the timelines are regulated as well, as you know that by early next year, ESCOM must have the revenue that it requires, as well as again looking into the tariffs themselves. So it's a lot of work that is actually coming to the regulator. So we also need to make sure that we conduct consultations before we take decisions. But we do take the point, and we'll try and work on these things and manage all of the interest of different stakeholders as we should. All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the public hearing, today's public hearing. We've got two stakeholders that could not present today, but they were put in tomorrow's program, so we'll have them presenting tomorrow. But also we heard about two that we included in the community groups, so we have allowed two more to present today. But at this point in time, I would like to thank everyone who has taken the time to be here today to this public hearing. It went smooth, and I would like to thank you for all of you for behaving very well and allowing us to finish what we are here for, as well as our interpreters and translators and those that were assisting us with the sign language. We thank you very much, and we thank all of the people that were involved in organizing this venue, providing all the logistical arrangements to make these proceedings to go as smooth as they were today. So we will convene here tomorrow at 9 o'clock again. Thank you so much.